Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. Fergus Ewing, unbowed, unbroken and as yet unpunished for his outbursts against the party and against Humza Yousaf in particular, has fired another broadside at the First Minister. He's saying that Humza Yousaf should immediately call for a referendum within the party, not a national referendum, but a referendum within the party of all members to see if they want to continue the Butte House Agreement or do they want to ditch the Greens. He's saying this in the wake, of course, of Robin Harper, who left the Greens over the weekend. A man who was their first MSP no longer wants anything to do with them. He's sickened by the direction of travel of the party. He's saying it's become filled with morons and extremists. And he's right, it has. But Fergus, he is I think, probably the acceptable face of the SNP. He's like that lovable uncle now, isn't he? He's the elder statesman of the party. People do listen to him. He has got the respect. And of course, he can more or less say what he likes now. They're running out of people to remove the whip from. They need them. And so he's more or less got a little power base of his own. And between his little power base and Kate Forbes' little power base, it almost seems that the only person in the SNP who doesn't have a power base is Humza Yousaf. So will he bow to the pressure? Will he hold a referendum? Or will he just say, do you know what? We might as well just get rid of them now. We're on the run into the next election. They've caused us so much damage. Let's just let them run free and see how much damage they can do from the back benches. Not a lot. Not a lot of damage. They're fairly ineffective in power, never mind in the back benches. So I think that's what he should do. But Fergus Ewing still wants to get his oar in, and good luck to him. Let's have a look at this story. So Humza Yousaf under pressure to hold SNP referendum on axing the deal with the extremist Scottish Greens. SNP rebel Fergus Ewing urged the First Minister to hold a new ballot within the party to see if members still want to team up with the Scottish Greens. Probably not. They are losers after all. As he pointed to Robin Harper's departure as a sign that they may now not be popular. They are very, very much not popular. None of them. In fact, no one in that picture is at all popular. You have the poisonous dwarf, you have the goblin of Govan, and you got Geoffrey the giraffe sitting there waving. You know, look at us. Hey, it's like the end of some 1970s family drama, isn't it? The Sullivans or whatever it was. They used to stand at the end and wave to the camera, breaking the fourth wall. Morons. Anyway, Humza Yousaf is under growing pressure from within his own party to hold a referendum on whether to axe the deal with the extremist Scottish Greens. The Butte House Agreement was signed in 2021 by Nicola Sturgeon to give the SNP a majority at Holyrood, and it has done nothing but damage the party every single time. Indeed, virtually every policy that the SNP has tried to get through has only ever been a Green policy. They've never actually come up with one of their own, and every single policy has failed. Do you know that since the election back then in 2001, they have not got one piece of legislation through? Not one. They've changed a few things, they've altered a few things, they've used various parliamentary methods to do it, but no major keynote policy has gone through because they're all really, really stupid and so obviously wrong. Anyway, since then, there's been a growing disquiet amongst nationalists that the Greens wield too much power in the administration. This has been evidenced by a number of failed schemes, including the deposit return scheme, failed, the highly protected marine areas, failed, and delays in dualling the A6, the A9 and A96, both failed. There's also the gender reform bill, failed, and you name it, they've failed it. It's just everything, every single thing. They haven't got, not one, honestly, not one piece of legislation has gone through. Now, one of the most outspoken SNP rebels, Fergus Ewing, whom I've got to be honest, I'm developing a soft spot for him. He's urged the First Minister to hold a vote within the party to decide whether to rip up the agreement. His call came after the Greens' former leader quit the party, although citing that they had become extremists. And this, of course, was Robin Harper at the weekend. He left, he says that they're extremists and they're stupid. I mean, he effectively called them stupid as well. But that's not really news, is it? Let's face it, we all know that. Robin Harper was the first Green parliamentarian in Scotland, but sensationally resigned due to his concerns that they were no longer focused on the environment. No, of course not. They're not even looking at the environment. If they were looking at the environment, they would never have agreed to host that cycle event in Glasgow. 20,000 tonnes, covered it this morning. No, they're all about, let's push extreme agenda stuff. Let's push this, let's push this, let's put this, and then make us look wonderful. Let's have gender recognition. There's a tiny little fly in here, and it's annoying me. In case you see me doing that, I'm not genuflecting, I'm fly beating. Anyway, Mr. Yousaf has previously described the coalition agreement as being worth its weight in gold. But he would say that, wouldn't he? Because he's incredibly stupid. And he pointed to SNP members overwhelmingly supporting it in a vote in 2021 as a sign it was still popular. That was 2.5 years ago. A lot of things change in politics in 2.5 years. And I'm sure that the members didn't realise that they were effectively handing over the running of Scotland to the Greens, because it's the Greens that have got all the power. Anyway, Mr. Ewing now believes that the tide has turned against the Greens, and he, of course, is right. He said that Mr. Harper's departure should send a message to the First Minister about how unpopular the alliance has become, the Rebel Alliance. He said he's called for a new ballot of the SNP members to be called to decide whether the cooperation deal should continue. He very much feels it shouldn't. He's well on record of saying he disagrees with the Greens on, well, every single matter. He disagrees with them having power. He certainly disagrees with them having the amount of power that they have. And he says they bring nothing to the table. Mr. Ewing said his main charge, which is that his party has become a party of extremists, is spot on. The relationship we had with the Green Party was supported, yes, by an overwhelming majority of our members in 2021. But that was before it was put into practice and before anyone realised the full enormity of dealing with these extremists. Perhaps now it is the time to reballot SNP members. I suspect the result would be very different. Yeah, I mean, the Greens need to just basically go. They're not politicians. They are nasty extremists, fascists, to the point of forcing people into doing things against their will. These people would open up education centres, like China has, or various camps, work camps, that were very popular in the 1930s in Germany. That's more their line. Anyway, the former government minister voted against Lorna Slater in a no confidence vote due to her shambolic handling, and they've put here, of the deposit return scheme. But actually, you could put in anything, couldn't you? It could be of everything. He's also claimed that it is the Scottish Greens who've caused delays in dualling the A9, which is an important issue in his constituency, and that delay has cost lives. A poll published in April found that support for the Butte House Agreement among SNP members had fallen to 53% from the 95% who originally voted for it in 2021. A total of 35% wanted it even then to end. And that was back in April. And as time goes on and things get worse and the money's building up and the reputation is failing, I think if you called it today, it would most definitely be a no vote win and that the Greens would be out. Scottish Tory Chairman Craig Hoy said it was astonishing that Mr Yousaf appeared to be enthralled to the Greens, despite the damage they are inflicting, particularly on rural Scotland. An SNP spokesman said, only a matter of months ago, SNP members voted to elect Humza Yousaf as SNP leader, after he stood on a platform endorsing the cooperation agreement, which 95% of the members voted to support. And yet now they're asking for another election. Well, he is certainly, and he's got people supporting him, saying, please God help us get rid of the Greens. And I tell you now, a lot of backbenchers will be supporting this. They see the damage the Greens have done to their reputation, to their votes. They're seeing all these defeats after defeats after defeats. It's embarrassing for them. They'd rather run a minority administration than they would to continue with the Greens. And I think that they should have another vote on it, another ballot on it. And I think also he's right. I think that they will most definitely be oot. Anyway, I shall stop there. I shall come up and I shall wish Fergus a good time of it. I think he is completely right. Anyway, coming up. The little green tail has been wagging the big yellow dog for quite some time, and they should have been told from day one they can have 3 policies. That's it. We'll give you a chance of getting 3 of your policies through. After that, you have to vote with us, and that's it. Instead of policy after policy after policy, every single one of them an abject failure, and worse, a very expensive abject failure. And if they'd have done that from day one, they'd have had their moment in the sun. Oh, there they are, great, move on. If they don't like it, they can sod off anyway. So I think it is time that Humza Yousaf grew a pair, because it's obviously he hasn't got any. There's nothing. He's like Ken doll down there, isn't he? Smooth. He's like a dark Ken doll. And if he grew a pair and he just tell them to go sod, take a running jump, basically. And I think Fergus Ewing is quite right. I think the members, would tell them to take the running jump themselves. But we shall see. Will Humza ever grow a pair? Shouldn't think so for 1 minute. Quite incapable, really, isn't he? Anyway, I shall stop there. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you like what you're seeing here on the channel, do please hit the subscribe button, and do please subscribe. We're about 35% of the regular viewers subscribed. We want to get that up. Let's see if we can get to 40. We can click over another target. I'm aiming to get to a certain amount, which I'm not going to say because otherwise if it fails I look stupid, but I know what it is in my head. So yeah, do please subscribe. It makes our voice louder, and therefore the truth keeps coming out. Anyway, until next time, stay safe, stay well, and let's hope Fergus wins this one. Until next time, bye bye.